How's it going, everyone? It's Javi from Weather SpongeBob. Today is March 27, 2021, and today we're gonna take a look at this potentially, well, it is gonna be a major severe weather threat on pretty much impacting the eastern half of the United States. Well, before I begin, make sure to subscribe if you want to see more weather content. Make sure to like if you like this video, and make sure to turn on post notifications if you want to see even more weather content. So let's take a look at the Futurecast radar to give you guys a timing of when this severe weather threat should occur. And this severe weather threat will be major. There's going to be a lot of unstable air as we take if we take a look at the GFS model, you're going to see that there's going to be a pretty big dip in the jet stream. So just pay attention to 540 contour line, where we do see that 540 contour line dip far enough south to interact with that warm air and create an unstable environment to create a lot of convection along that frontal boundary. So as a result, we're going to see a lot of thunderstorm activity, a lot of lift in the atmosphere. And if we take a look at the convective available potential energy of the GFS, it exactly shows how much energy there is for the atmosphere to feed off of to create these thunderstorms. And if we take a look at that right now, the surface-based convective available potential energy, it gives a good idea of how much lift there will be in the atmosphere. And you see that headed into just 12 hours from now, you see that right there. There's a ton of lift where we're seeing the oranges, the reds, and it's just a lot of lift where the amount of convective available potential energy is right around 2,500 joules per kilogram, and that's more than enough to create a severe thunderstorm, because severe thunderstorms require strong updrafts because it makes the air along the surface very light and it makes it less dense, and as a result, the more dense air will want to fill into that less dense air, and that creates the damaging winds associated with thunderstorms. And the lift really creates the hail because the updrafts continuously lift the water molecules further upwards in the atmosphere to the point where they freeze into ice. And tornadoes, as a result of lift, is also likely because there's a lot of wind shear when there's very strong updrafts in the atmosphere, and that's definitely unfortunate as it'll create a major severe weather. And moving forward with the convective available potential energy, there's still going to be a decent amount through North Carolina and right along, pretty much hugging the Carolinas and right close to the Florida coast, and this will impact a large amount of people along the eastern half of the United States. If we move forward, you see that the convection really begins. Well, let's take a look at the Futurecast radar, and you're going to see that later tonight, headed into 9 p.m., the convection and thunderstorm activity really begins as this frontal boundary gets closer to the southeast, where it's going to interact with that very warm and humid air, and that's going to force a lot of that water vapor further upwards in the atmosphere to condense at a rapid rate enough for severe thunderstorms. As we see a line extend, however, the most severe of thunderstorms will be right around Arkansas, Mississippi, Alabama, and Tennessee, where we do see the most instability and the most upper level winds. And you see that there's a lot of squall line thunderstorms, and the unfortunate thing is that this is going to all occur at night, which means that a lot of these severe thunderstorms will happen when you're sleeping, and unfortunately, you're twice as likely to die in a tornado when it's at night than during the day. So that's definitely unfortunate. That this is going to happen at night, so make sure to stay aware of that, and make sure to put your phone notifications on in case a tornado warning is issued, because that's certainly possible. That certainly could happen tonight into Sunday morning, where we do see thunderstorm activity throughout Arkansas, extending to northern Mississippi and Tennessee, where severe thunderstorms will be the worst for you guys. And then head into overnight, you see it eventually extends into Nashville, Tennessee, where they begin experiencing some thunderstorms. And then we're beginning to see those thunderstorms extend further northward, as now the computer models are forecasting the severe weather threat to move further northward than initially anticipated, where now Virginia is involved, and so is the Delmarva Peninsula, and especially closer to Norfolk, Virginia, and Virginia Beach, where now you guys are under a major threat of severe weather. and which could bring damaging winds, large hail, and possibly tornadoes as well. And that's definitely a concern head forward. And even further northward, while the chance is still slight, I'd say, for areas in Philadelphia and New York City, there's still certainly that possibility of maybe an isolated severe thunderstorm. So you don't want to completely disregard this storm as not bringing severe weather further up northward, because it's certainly there's certainly the possibility. And you see that the thunderstorms will also extend right around the Ohio River Valley, where there's a moderate chance of severe weather, as there's just going to be a lot of unstable air, and there might be a chance of snow, especially in Maine and the higher elevations and the extreme northern portions of the Northeast. So you need to keep a close eye on that as well. And let's take a look at the wind shear with that's going to be associated with these thunderstorms, because it gives a good idea of what are the chances of potentially a tornado, because tornadoes require very high wind shear, and unfortunately it looks pretty high, the chance of severe weather, because if we take a look at the change in wind direction with height, you see that along the surface the winds are mostly coming from the northwest, but it gradually shifts in the mid levels and the upper levels of the atmosphere, where it now comes from the southwest at that point. So when we're seeing a change in wind direction like this, that's definitely a major concern, because it raises the chances of tornadic activity throughout this area. Let's take a look at another area, because it gives a good idea of where exactly the tornado activity could spread, and it's a little better further southward, but I'm including a little bit more of the areas which will miss out on severe weather. So let's take a look at another area such as Tennessee, where we do see there's a slight amount of wind shear, but especially on the backside of this storm, the wind shear will be strong enough for tornadic activity, and that's definitely a major concern. Let's take a look at the humidity as well, because what is also required for tornadic activity is dry air, and you see there's a decent amount of dry air, and there's a little bit of a dry spot just north of Memphis, Tennessee, which could induce a chance of tornado activity right around Tennessee and Mississippi and Arkansas, and that's definitely something we don't want to see, as there's a pretty good chance of thunderstorms, thanks to just the sheer amount of dry air that's going to be behind these severe thunderstorms, the amount of dense air which will really help induce those thunderstorms right along southeast and even extending to the mid-Atlantic states. So you need to keep a close eye on this, because it could be major, and I'm extremely concerned with this severe weather, because it'll impact a lot of people, and we could see just very bad tornadoes from this, which is unfortunate, because the Southeast just got impacted hard by tornadoes just a couple of days ago, and to see it get impacted again is something we do not want to see. And here's a look at the surface-based CAPE again, and you see that there's a decent amount of lift, enough for severe thunderstorm activity right along the southeast. But now let's take a look at where exactly you will experience the worst of the severe weather. And obviously, if you're in the reds, you're most likely to experience severe weather from this. Major severe weather should be expected if you're in the reds, which includes Norfolk, Virginia. This includes Raleigh, North Carolina, and then even extending further eastward into Tennessee and Kentucky, and this even extends to Roanoke, Virginia, and Arkansas, and all the way to northern Mississippi as well, where this will be the worst when it comes to severe weather, and you are the most likely to experience a major severe thunderstorm, and large hail is expected from this. Damaging winds and strong tornadoes are likely, especially if you're in the red. So make sure to prepare in case a tornado does impact you guys. I want you guys to all stay safe, and do not underestimate these severe thunderstorms at all. And any tornado warning, you need to take cover, head to the lowest portion of your house, and make sure to just stay prepared in case a tornado occurs, or a severe thunderstorm occurs in general. And then if you're in the orange and yellow, the chance of severe weather is moderate, which includes even Washington, D.C. at this point. It includes some areas of the Delmarva Peninsula, and this extends and this extends to a lot of the Ohio River Valley states like Ohio, Indianapolis, Springfield, Illinois. This even includes Cincinnati, and we do see that moderate severe weather threat extend even further southward, and St. Louis is involved as well, so you need to keep that in mind. And even maybe Philadelphia could get a severe thunderstorm. There's a moderate chance of that, so keep a close eye on that if you're right around the Philadelphia metropolitan region. And then minimal just north of that, as there won't be as much unstable air as, let's say, further southward. However, the snow could be the issue in the higher elevations in the northern portion of the Northeast, so keep that in mind. And make sure to stay safe and stay covered all throughout the Southeast, because this will be just a major severe weather threat. The rain will also be an issue. Let's take a look at the rain forecast right now. Bear with me here. Let me go to this website to check out how much rain is forecast over the next 5 days, and you're gonna see that Tennessee will just get impacted hard by just heavy rainfall, up to 4 inches over the next 5 days. And this even extends further northward in the Northeast, where a decent amount of rain is expected, right around 1-2 inches, which, especially in rivers close to overtopping their banks, is enough for some flooding. So keep a close eye on that. Flooding will be another major concern, and flash flooding also is certainly possible from this storm, which is another worry I have. If we take a look at the excessive rain outlook, you see that there's a pretty good chance of flash flooding throughout Tennessee, northern Mississippi, and Arkansas. And then we do see a marginal risk just to the north of that, and a slight risk just to the south and north of the moderate risk area. But a moderate risk means a 20 to 50% chance of your specific area getting flash flood warning, which is just too close for comfort. Make sure if you live nearby a creek, or make sure when you're driving to keep in mind of those flash flood warnings, because there's certainly that possibility. But outside of this storm, we also need to worry about this next storm, which could now impact the eastern half of the United States. And I'm worried about this next one as well, because if you take a look at that, there's going to be another big dip in the jet stream, and I'm concerned that it's going to induce another area of severe weather, possibly if this dip goes far south enough. And not only that, but we could see a chance of a snowstorm in the Northeast headed into April, which isn't something you see every day, but there's certainly that possibility of snow. While the GFS mainly restricts the snow to the northern portions of the Northeast, mainly affecting the higher elevations of the Northeast, the European model says otherwise, where the European model is expecting the snow to dip further southward to a point where it could affect even the big cities like maybe New York City and Philadelphia, depending on how much cold air will be located. Let's take a look at the precipitation map to show you guys this next storm, which could dump a decent amount of snow in the Northeast if we move forward to right around the 5-day mark on April 1st, on a Thursday. You see that there's a pretty big area of snow, and the concern is that this storm will be big enough and there's going to be just enough cold air to where the snow will impact you guys closer to the cities. And right now the snow is restricted to the interior Northeast regions, but there's still a good chance of snow at this point, since both computer models are forecasting it. Although it's 5 days out, there's still a good chance it could change, but it really all depends on the jet stream dip, how much cold air is there, and that really depends on how much northwesterly winds will be associated with this low as it moves further eastward. But but just keep a close eye on it. It could change, but right now, be at least aware that there could be a snowstorm in the interior Northeast and maybe severe weather threat further southward for this next one. So keep that in mind in the future. But anyways, guys, thank you guys for watching. Make sure to subscribe if you want to see more weather econs. Make sure to like if you like this video. Make sure to turn on post notifications if you want to see even more weather content. And I hope you guys have a good day.